Welcome once again to the Autosportradio.com 2020 show. I'm your host, Don Kay, and we are live from the Grant King race shops as we have been. And until things open, I don't know when that will be, but if and when it does, you need to come down here. This is a working museum, some great things to look at, some cars, vintage cars are here. And if you get a chance, come on down. They're located at 8155 Crawfordsville Road in Indianapolis. Today's show is presented by Honda and Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the NTT IndyCar Series, SVRA, and McGilvery's Pub and Eatery and Speedway. Everybody loves to go to the dentist. They can hardly wait. Well, if you want to have a dental appointment that you're going to enjoy and a dentist that you'll love, go to the Indy Dental Group. 500 veteran Dr. Jack Miller and his wife, Dr. Liz Lewis, have a phenomenal practice, one of the top rated in the state. Give them a call, make an appointment. Number is 317-846-6125. And if you're like me and have computer problems, we've got the computer guy to help you, the A+ affordable computer doctor. Steve Freeze is the doctor, and he'll make house calls if necessary. So give him a call, tell him your problem. He'll tell you what he can do to help you. The number is 317-328-0766. And if you are interested in Grant King Christmas ornaments and so forth, they got backpacks and fanny packs and stuff with Grant King logos on them. You'll have to go to grantkingshops@gmail.com and ask for information. There'll be a website which should be up very shortly where you can find it. But in the meantime, you can email them at grantkingshops@email.com and check it out. If you're looking for something, a present at the Christmas time for a race fan, a race nut, kid, adult, doesn't matter, the Indy500shop.com has it. Trust me, I've been down there. He's got everything. So go online, check it out. Find something you like, get a hold of him. The owner's name is Michael Spangle, and you can call his cell phone. It's 317-985-0214. And behind me to my right is a car that's for sale. It's a vintage car. It's a 1978 Lightning Drake Offie. It is one of 8 cars designed by Roman Choblitzky and constructed by Don Edmonds Auto Research in Anaheim, California for the noted 500 entrant, Lindsey Hopkins. This is Larry Rice's 78 Rookie of the Year car. Larry of Linden, Indiana, also drove the car in 79. It has a fresh Bud Slade Van Dyke plumbed Drake Offie, minimal time at California Motor Speedway, 2016 IMS Legends Day, and the 2016 SVRA event at Indy. Lap times of 145 miles an hour at Indy with 0 problems. Former famed 500 mechanic and USAC Hall of Famer Mike Devin recently looked over the car at the Grant King shops and provided additional information. Sale of the car includes 4 tires, and they'll give you the lap speed times charts when it ran at Indianapolis. So if you're interested, give them a call. The number is 317-820-3595. That's the Grant King shops, 317-820-3595. Have you ever wondered what it'd be like to drive your favorite car at your favorite track? From track midgets at the Chili Bowl to a Formula One car at Nürburgring, Indy Simulation can put you in the driver's seat of their Sim Experience full motion race simulator. Take your choice of over 160 cars and tracks in iRacing, the same simulation professional drivers use to race their real world rivals, learn new tracks, and stay sharp between races. Just simply visit indysim.com today and book your free demonstration ride. And if and when the museum opens up, the Andy Granatelli exhibit is there. It's really something to see. So if you get a chance when they open the museum back up again, stop by and check it out. You wonder why these guys and gals love driving Indy cars? Well, you can find out for yourself. Take a ride in the Indy Racing Experience 2-seater. Go to indyracingexperience.com and check out the dates they'll be running in 21 and see one that fits you. Sign up for it. And in the promo box, put DK1, you get a 50% discount, or you can call Sean to 317-243-7171. If it's time to renew your insurance for your home, your car, or your commercial property, do what most of us have done. We call Mike Pardee at VP Insurance in Speedway. They're located at 5004 West 16th Street. Give Mike a call. Tell him what you're looking for. You might be surprised you get better coverage for less money. His number is 317 248-0070. And if you're interested in finding out about vintage cars and where they go, the SVRA has a magazine called Speed Tour. It is first class. You just go to svra.com and subscribe to Speed Tour magazine. And while you're there, check out the schedule. They've got I think it's an 18 event schedule, and they're all over the country. So one of them might be in your area, and I highly recommend you check it out. That's svra.com. Subscribe to Speed Tour magazine. My guest today is a young man who is unquestionably one of the more popular drivers in the IndyCar series. He is this year actually, has been sponsored by the U.S. Air Force, and it has shown that he has the talent. He has the ability. He raced in Europe in the lower series, did very, very well. He raced in the Road to Indy program and progressed extremely well. Now he's in IndyCars where he should be. Please welcome all the way from Noblesville, Indiana, and having a little schluck, is Conor Daly. Conor, thanks for taking time to be here.
Absolutely. Happy to be back.
This has been a really, obviously, as everybody in the world knows, a tough year. But for you guys who are professional race car drivers, it's got to be extremely difficult because you really didn't know when races would be held, and when they were rescheduled, you weren't sure they would be able to run.
Yeah, it was very strange. Very, I guess, formed for my career. Finally, after several years, 3 years, trying to get back to a full-time ride, the full-timeness kind of goes away. The testing that we get, the normal race weekends with full, practice days and stuff like that is all thrown out the window. So everything becomes, one day events sometimes, one practice, qualify, and then 2 races, or one practice, qualify, and race. So it definitely became a lot more difficult on us. I think it put a lot of work on the teams to, make sure you showed up to the race weekend with the best car possible. And I think there were definitely certain drivers that struggled with it more than others. Because it's definitely a big change. It's so close in IndyCar. It's so competitive. A lot of drivers need every single practice session to get the car exactly how we want it to be able to get that last half a tenth out of it in qualifying. So it was really interesting for sure. But it is great that we were able to race. We were able to finish a season. It was a shame that we missed out on some of the events that we love, the Long Beaches, Coda, Laguna Seca, some great events that we hate to have missed. But we got to give credit to Roger and Jay Fry and everyone at IndyCar for kind of doing the best that we could with the situation at hand, for sure.
How bad is it? To me, I'm really sorry to see number 1 Iowa go away, and Richmond. Richmond was on the schedule last year or this year, and it couldn't happen, and it's not on the schedule this coming year. I got to think, and I think you run there, both of those tracks are spectacular, and most drivers really like driving the short tracks.
Yeah, I think without a doubt the short ovals have been some of our best races, certainly this year and in the past. I've never got to drive on Richmond yet, but I was really, really looking forward to it. It's just I think it's just a compound of what has happened this year and the economic situation of everyone involved. I really, really hate to see so few ovals on the schedule next year. It's just the IndyCar racing I grew up watching was oval racing. I think some of our best product is on the ovals. Obviously, we have great road course and street course races as well. We've had some great races this year, but without a doubt, we'll be missing Iowa. I'll certainly be missing Iowa. I didn't think I would miss Iowa, but now I do. And Texas, I love Texas. A doubleheader at Texas is great. I mean, Eddie Gossage loves IndyCar racing, and we love going to Texas. I hope we can put on just a little bit better of a race than we did this year. The traction compound that they put down for NASCAR really hurt our race, sadly. But our car was really good there this year, and we had a great race there. So I can't wait for that. But yeah, it's a shame to lose Iowa. And I think right now the world is the motorsport world's in an interesting spot, economically, and hopefully we can do more working with NASCAR like we did with the July 4th event. I think that was really cool, and hopefully that helps tracks and businesses want to get involved. But, who knows? Right now we just got to kind of keep pushing on one day at a time, and be glad that we do have 17 races again for next year. No matter where they are.
You've been sponsored by the United States Air Force. Are they, because of, I think it seemed to me, what I saw when I'd walk around, is they had big displays at the facility, at the events, where they could get guys and kids and gals in and perhaps recruit them. Has that hurt them going forward? Are they taking a hard look at how you have helped them, and even in fact that they couldn't be on site?
Well, it's tough for sure. I think a lot of what the relationship has been interacting with our fans at the track, has been entertaining. Year and a half or 2 years, and we obviously didn't get to do any of that this year. So it was a shame for sure. But I think we tried to, from what we've heard on the Air Force side, they have basically just kind of treated this year as a bit of a write-off, because you can't judge you just can't judge anything from this year because of how different it has been. So that's good for us. I think basically what we've wanted to do is try to do the best we can as a team, and me as a driver, whether that's on iRacing, whether that's on Twitch streaming, talking about the Air Force with a lot of young people who play video games like I do. I've been trying to do as much as possible via social media, the internet, which is basically where, the demographic that they're trying to appeal to exists, is purely on the internet. So I think we've done the best job that we can. I think the Ed Carpenter Racing team has done an incredible job. We did get to, interact with a lot of the generals at the Indy 500 this year. Although it was closed to fans, we were able to have the 4-star general from the Space Force at the Indy 500, along with the 2-star general from the U.S. Air Force recruiting division at the race. And that was their first race ever. So, it was a shame to have them at the Indy 500 without any fans, because obviously it's very, very different. But they did get to see a little bit of what it was about. They got to see the cars on track. So there was some good things that we were able to do this year, but for sure it was hard. And I just hope that, as we look forward and we try to bring them back again next year, all of that is kind of put into play. And I think it will. They've been great to work with so far. And, I'm pretty confident about, the relationship moving forward. It just depends on what level it's going to be at.
What was it like to go to an event and few or no fans? I mean, this is a fan sport, to listen and hear the sound and smell the smell of the fuel and everything. But what was it like to walk out on the track and there's nobody there to say yay?
Well, I mean, once you're in the car, there's no difference. I mean, you don't see, you don't pay attention to what's going on outside that. But for sure, the pre-race and everything that goes on there, that's tough. And I love our fans. Our events get such great, great fan interaction. The autograph sessions, people cheering at driver intros for their driver. It's amazing, and it's going to be something that when it does get back to normal, I think we'll appreciate 10 times more, because it's tough to drive without those people that support us, because you want to go out there and be a hero to those that that are cheering for you. So I can't wait to get back to normal. It was weird for sure having no spectators, but thankfully we got Road America and St. Pete, where we definitely saw a good amount of people, which was really cool. And the events did a great job at trying to make those places as safe as possible.
Well, I have to say this: you are probably one of the more popular drivers in the series. Even when you weren't driving, you were popular. And I will back that up with a story you may remember. A couple of years ago at St. Petersburg, I was with some friends that were at the race, and we're walking down in the paddock area, and she said, is that Conor Daly? I said, yeah. Oh, I'd love to meet him. I said, oh, come on over. Oh, he's talking to somebody. He won't talk to me. I said, oh, yes, he will. So when the conversation was over, I took her and introduced her. She still talks about that. Still, the last time I talked to her a couple of weeks ago, she said, oh, I hope I get back to the track to see Conor again. So you have a huge number of fans. You're an extremely popular driver, and I think one of the secrets is you're approachable.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I want to be approachable. I want to be a guy that can be relatable as well. I'm just a guy who gets to live his dream of driving race cars every weekend, and trying to be a better athlete every day, and try to pursue something that I want to be successful at. But in the end, I still go to sleep at my house like everyone else, and wake up and have to go to work and go to the gym and go to try to sell myself to sponsors, and everyone has their own challenges in life, right? And it's just a matter of getting through them as best you can, and being the best at what you want to do. So I'm always going to be that guy. I always want to be, a nice guy, and try to be able to interact with fans, because I hope that, I think that helps with the Air Force, and any partners that have been involved with us. It helped when I did the NASCAR truck race this year with Travis Pastrana. I mean, Travis and I only became friends because we have the same, I think we have a very, very similar personality. We just like to treat people well. We like to go racing, and we like to make sure that everyone's having a good time doing it. So, it's I don't plan on changing, and I appreciate the people that support us for sure, because it was a tough year at times this year, and there were a lot of great moments, incredible moments, some historical moments, but there was a lot of tough times too. And there's still a great fan base behind me that's really, really supportive. That it's great to see a lot of people's messages when things are going bad, because it just makes you want to keep going and get back on the horse.
Yeah. Earlier in your career, you drove F3 and F4 over in Europe, and you came here and ran the Road to Indy program. How much did that experience help you when you got to IndyCar, which was your goal in the first place? How did that help you?
I think all of it helped. I think we built quite a wide base of experience before I got there, but still you're learning every day. In IndyCar now, I mean, you're just learning every time you get on track. I think there's the thing about IndyCar now is every situation is different. Every car is different. Every team runs their car a little bit differently. And you as a driver, your core abilities still remain the same. You don't forget how to drive. It's just sometimes cars don't suit you. And so sometimes you got to figure out, all right, well, how do I get it to where, it feels like when I got pole at Iowa, like how do I get the car like that every single time? And Carlin was able to really, really focus in on that after working together last year. They gave me what I wanted at every oval race. And it was incredible, because we were competitive at every single oval race because they gave me what I want. And I think ECR, if I get a chance to come back with them next year, I think they have a great idea of what I need. And I definitely look forward to working with those guys again if we get that opportunity. Because it's when you have what you want, at Iowa, a track that was my least favorite track. I hated it. I was terrible. I had qualified nothing better than like 23rd at Iowa, and then we're on pole. All it takes is getting the car right. I mean, if you get the car right, I'll do it. I promise. And I'm trying to broaden my window a little bit of driving, and maybe, make it so where that window of what I need out of the car is a little bit wider. But yeah, until then, it's something that I think we really learned a lot this year, and we took advantage of kind of having a second year with a team like Carlin.
I find it interesting that you can set the car up, like you said, where you love it. Another driver get in it and say, good grief, I'm going to kill myself. This is terrible. The difference in what is required by drivers, to me, is amazing. You'd think if car feels good to you, it should feel good to everybody, but it doesn't.
Well, I think the prime example of that this year is Team Penske and Simon Pagenaud. Simon Pagenaud, Indy 500 champion of the series. The guy had a really tough year. I mean, there were multiple times where he qualified in the 20s. Right. And Simon Pagenaud did not forget how to drive. Like, I promise you that. Simon Pagenaud did not forget how to drive. Joseph might have qualified on pole. Simon might have qualified 22nd. They have the same cars. They have the same stuff. But every single driver is different. And I cannot stress that enough, because people cannot doubt Simon Pagenaud at all. The guy did not forget how to drive. He's still Simon Pagenaud, the guy who won the Indy 500, dominated the Indy 500, and who dominated a championship. Won like 6 races in a row or whatever it is. But he had the car that he wanted. And this year with the Aeroscreen and what it's done to kind of changing the balance of the car, it's changed a lot of setups. It's changed a lot of, ways to get to the ideal balance and how we as drivers can take advantage of that. So I think I myself was a guy who struggled with that on the road courses, as was Simon, as was even Scott Dixon at times. There were places where he qualified 15th, 16th. I mean, there were obviously he won the championship by a healthy margin, but it still was something that this year created quite a it just threw a variable in to every race weekend because you had so little practice, you had so little time to get the car right. It was a tough year for a lot of people.
Did you go down when they tested at Barber? Were you down there?
Yes, yeah, I was down there, and that was not awesome. It was awesome to just get a test day, just to drive around, and everyone was doing as many laps as possible. That's for sure.
It's amazing to me. Well, not amazing, I don't suppose, but the Road to Indy program really does help these guys. And when you look at the rookies that have been in this year and came in last year, Colton Herta, Alex Below, and your teammate, Renus VK, this kid can drive. Good Lord.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the best part about rookies right now coming in is they don't have an idea of what the car was like before the aero screen. So they don't know that it either could be better, could be worse, or it could feel differently because it's all fresh to them. So, I think that was one thing that Ed Carpenter and I talk about quite a lot because Renus got to the Indy 500 and he was just kind of like, yep, this feels great. And Ed and I were like, woof, I don't know. This is not as good. And Ed and I qualified in the 20s and Renus is in the top 9. And I think it's just because Ed and I are so used to having a certain balance out of the car. And obviously now it's much more difficult to get that balance. And it's very interesting. So we're talking about very small things. Ed, who has qualified on the pole for the Indy 500 many times, did not forget how to drive around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's just you have to have everything right, and we were not able to find that yet. And we will. It's not like it's an unattainable speed, right? We will get there. It's just a matter of figuring out what we need out of this new car, essentially with the aero screen, and making it happen.
Do you like the aero screen and what it's there for, what its intention is, safety for you as a driver?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely done its job. I think it's a safety thing. The visibility was never an issue. A lot of the things that that drivers were thinking about really weren't issues. I think the one thing that I am a little bit, it's a little bit upsetting what it did due to the car balance, but I can't complain about that. It's just, everyone has to deal with that. So, I respect what it's done. I got in trouble for saying some things about it because we're not supposed to talk bad about it, but I'm not talking bad about it. I'm talking about how I struggled with it. It does its job. It's a very safe thing. It's gone very well, and IndyCar is working with us as drivers to help us continue to adapt to it. So I think it's I think it's going to be great. I can't imagine not driving an open wheel car now without it. And yeah, I mean, I think it's very, very hot in the cars as well. But again, they're working with us on that, and hopefully next year we can get some more air to us because St. Pete was very, very, very tough to drive because of the heat. And that was very interesting. But again, it's a safety thing, and thankfully it's much safer now.
The thing that impresses me and a lot of your fans and other fans is people notice your ability to drive a race car. It doesn't matter if it's a truck, whatever. You've been invited and have raced in other series, and they don't bring somebody in. They say, well, this guy will put it in the fence and we can fix it. No big deal. They bring you in because you know how to drive a car. And I think that speaks volumes, in my opinion, for your ability as a race car driver.
I appreciate that. I mean, it was the NASCAR truck race that we did this year. I think it was a lot of fun. That was one of the craziest things I've ever done because there was no practice at all, no qualifying. The first time I got into that car or truck was for the race, and it went really well. And it was something that I think, I've matured enough now to be able to handle a one-off situation like that. You have to be very patient. You have to be very smart about it. And it went really well. I mean, we finished in the top 20 in our first race out. And I think a lot of the NASCAR folks were really impressed with that, which is great. I really enjoyed it, and I would love to do more of that in the future. And, I want to drive anything still, anytime, anywhere. I mean, I want to do the Daytona 500. That's on my list of things to do. I've now driven a NASCAR truck, an Xfinity car. Now I want to drive a Cup car. So I don't know how that's going to happen, but at some point, I want to just keep ticking boxes, checking them off the list of things to do in life.
Well, it seems interesting to me. Have you gotten any feedback about running a truck again this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been talking to Nice Motorsports quite a lot. Al Nice, great guy, incredible owner. Cody Efaw, the team manager there, was super cool, and I think they would love to do some races next year. I would love to do some races. We're going to talk probably after Thanksgiving about what the schedule next year looks like, and where we can fit in. Obviously, I want to be a full-time IndyCar driver, but there are definitely gaps in the schedule, and the NASCAR series are always racing more than we are. So I'm sure there are places that we can fit something in, and yeah, who knows?
Well, I think it speaks volumes that teams are interested in bringing you into other series you're not familiar with. And I agree, the performance you did in the truck with no practice, and when I realized and heard you say, it's the first time I've been in this thing, I haven't driven it a foot, and you finished in the top 20. I mean, that was remarkable, and you put it back on the trailer the way they took it off.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the thing about racing, though, I mean, that wasn't an opportunity given to me, right? Like Travis and I, we had to raise some money and some sponsorship to do that. But I think that's the hardest part in racing these days, is getting in for the first time, because not many people are just handing out opportunities. But if you happen to, put together a good program with, a good team, and then you go out and do that in the first race, well, then it's less of a concern about, all right, what can you bring to us? Now it's like, where can you race for us? And I was like, well, I would love to race more. I mean, they even offered me another race this year, but it was the same weekend as St. Pete, so I couldn't go and do it. But it was great to get that first one out of the way and work with those guys, because it was an awesome team and it was great fun. I mean, honestly, a lot of fun.
Well, if you put together your program with the Air Force and are back hopefully with Ed Carpenter, do the Air Force and Ed Carpenter mind that you go venture off into other series?
Yeah, they don't mind, because Nice is a Chevy team as well. So I think it's got to be Chevrolet related. The only reason I could drive for Carlin as well, because it was Chevy as well. We want to stay united in the Chevy family and be a part of the Chevrolet teams. I think if it wasn't a Chevrolet team, it's a little bit more chatter, and it could be more difficult, but thankfully it all works out.
Well, I know one thing, and I can't stress this enough, how many fans you have and how popular a driver you are. I think that speaks volumes for yourself, and I think it's what the series needs, is drivers you can talk to, because there have been fans and sponsors in Formula One that have never met the driver, and they've spent 10, 15, $20 million and never met the driver, haven't seen him, haven't talked to him, nothing. But, I think IndyCar and NASCAR to some degree is kind of hard to get to, because just anybody can't get in the garage, which is where you find them most of the time. So I think you're a great representative for the sport. I know you're gung-ho for the sport, so that helps. And to make appearances is not out of your realm of wanting to do things. I know you're very easy to make appearances anytime you're asked, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I appreciate that. I'm going to keep doing my thing and hope that the goal is to definitely be back with ECR, hopefully in a full-time capacity instead of having to split it off. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we'll know a lot more in the next 2 weeks, hopefully before Thanksgiving. And then, yeah, I mean, realistically, if I have a full-time IndyCar schedule, it's a lot easier to then start scheduling other things around. So we want to make sure that we can get the Air Force back and be our partner again, because it's been an incredible relationship and our cars have been awesome. They've looked great. The fans have loved it. I've met some of the most impressive human beings ever during this program. Multiple high-ranking, military, human beings, male, female, just everyone that has been a part of this program have been super, super impressive to get to interact with. So for me personally, I still want to do that, because every time I meet someone new, it's an incredible experience. So we'll see what happens. Well,
certainly wish you all the best in pulling that one off and getting it back. And I think in my mind, you're the kind of guy that, when they're looking for recruits, you're the kind of guy that these kids will listen to, because you're not you can speak to them on in their language at their level and spread the word. The Air Force is the place to go. Of course, I'm from the United States Navy, but that's all right. You go.
Well, we appreciate everyone.
Yeah. How's your brother Christian doing?
Christian just won another 2 world titles in Florida 2 weeks ago in the jet ski racing category. So he's doing well. Everyone's doing well, really, I guess, for the situation that we're in. But yeah, Christian got to go back down and race in Florida just a couple weeks ago. And so he's still winning, still successful, still an athlete, which is really cool.
Well, I have to get a hold of him. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years when he won the world title in Taiwan. I think it was the last time I spoke to him.
Yeah, yep.
I have to chase him down and talk to him about it. I hope the season goes on. I have heard, and I don't know if this is true, that the IndyCar would be open to another oval or two, because I've been told they realized the IndyCar was oval racing initially, and they could use a couple more ovals. So I'm being told that they're looking at it. So there's a possibility to add a couple more. Would be nice. I know Pocono, I'm told, is interested in having them back. So look forward to it.
Not Pocono. I don't want to go to Pocono.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's go to Richmond. Let's go to Chicagoland. Let's go to Las Vegas. Let's go to Kentucky. Let's go to Kansas. Let's go to all those.
Wow. You don't like Pocono?
It didn't produce a great race.
Well, that's true. It wasn't the best. With the lockdown and kind of staying close to home, I assume that you and Alexander and Hinch don't hook up and bobble about anymore.
Every now and then we have. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the first people I saw when the world started, sort of opening up back again was Alex and Hinch, and they've obviously been around, and I saw them last weekend. Saw them after the season finished, but everyone's kind of sitting around. We can't do a ton. No one's going on exotic vacations or anything because we can't. So we're all kind of here and, trying to find things to do. And honestly, it's weird. The season being the way it was strange, yes, but it's great that it's already Thanksgiving. I mean, it barely feels like the off season has started. Sebring 12 Hour just finished. I mean, Alex just finished his responsibilities for racing for the year. And it's, middle of November. So, and I'm doing a sports car race this weekend in New Jersey Motorsports Park, a little, endurance racing series. That's just kind of for fun to help out some sponsors of mine. And it's, that'll take us to the end of November. So the off season is going to be short, thankfully. Hopefully we can start testing again in January if we get everything going again. And that's the best, because I hate sitting around for too long. And I think everyone can agree on that.
I'm sure you're right. Well, I tell you what, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, and we look forward to hearing some announcements coming out about the Air Force and Conor Daly hooking up for another year with Ed Carpenter Racing, because I think it's a good fit. Although you performed well when you drove for another team, and somehow that didn't go a second year. I don't quite know why, but I think now people are realizing you do know what you're doing and how to do it. So we wish you well. Hopefully 2021 season will be a full season. Hopefully there'll be some fans there to yell and cheer and scream. And thanks for your time. And who knows, one of these days maybe before the seasons, we'll call you again.
I hope so. I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Yeah, my guest has been Conor Daly. As I have said on a number of occasions, one of the more popular, if not the more popular driver in the IndyCar series. We have some guests lined up in the next few days, so stick with us. We'll send out an announcement. It'll be on Facebook as to where you can find us. And if you haven't seen all of the programs we've done since we've been doing this from the Grand King shops, you just go to the Autosport Radio Show on YouTube, and you can find all of them. So check them out. Until next time, saying thanks to Conor Daly for being here. This is Don Casey. Until the next time, we'll see you then. Goodbye.